Discover how a hidden connection with a poor girl changed this millionaire's life forever. William Harrison thought he had it all: a luxury SUV parked in his three-car garage, a sprawling home that echoed with silence, and a circle of friends who shared his wealth and status. Yet beneath this polished facade lay a gaping hole in his heart. At every charity gala, he mingled with familiar faces, exchanging hollow pleasantries and feigning interest in causes that screamed for change. It was all a performance, one he had perfected over years, until that fateful evening in Cherry Hill. The room buzzed with chatter, laughter, and the clinking of glasses, yet William felt detached, like a spectator at a play he was sick of watching. It was at that moment he met Lily, a vivacious 18-year-old bursting with hope, standing on the precipice of possibility. He was struck by her bright smile, a stark contrast to the empty conversations of his socialite acquaintances. "I want to be a doctor," she said, her determination palpable, "so I can help my family and kids like me." Her words hit him like a punch to the gut. Here was someone who wanted something more than a yacht or a luxury watch, someone who inspired. As they spoke, William found himself engaged in a way he hadn't felt in years, his heart tightening with every story of struggle she shared. Each whispered dream of escaping the cycle of poverty unraveled the callousness that had enveloped him for so long. But as their friendship blossomed over late-night study sessions, something changed in the air around him. His affluent friends began to murmur, casting sidelong glances filled with judgment when they spotted him with Lily. "Why waste time with her?" they sneered behind closed doors. William felt the sting of their whispers, each derisive comment tightening the grip of luxury that suffocated him. Every moment spent with Lily illuminated a darkness William had buried deep. She fought against her family's debts while balancing a part-time job and school, the weight of despair heavy on her shoulders. William wanted to help, but fear of losing his friends kept him tethered to his old life. The collision of their two worlds reverberated in his soul, igniting a fire that began to melt the walls he had built. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Then came the storm. A scandal from his past resurfaced, threatening to unwind everything. William felt his heart race, the fear of reputation hanging over him like a dark cloud. Would he abandon Lily out of self-preservation, drowning in the very expectations that had shackled him? Just as he steeled himself to challenge the judgment, he overheard a cruel conversation among his friends, laughter cutting through like a knife. It felt like betrayal, with their smiles twisting into disdain while he could see Lily, full of dreams, right outside. The question loomed large. Would he choose compassion over conformity, redefine wealth beyond dollars, or let fear seal their fates apart, leaving them both trapped in this judgmental world? William's heart pounded as he stood frozen, paralyzed by the dilemma gnawing at him like a persistent itch. Those laughter-filled moments from his friends felt like daggers aimed directly at the fragile bond he had formed with Lily. Did he really care what they thought? The truth was, he was starting to care more about her dreams, and the depth of her struggles, than the whispers of his so-called friends. That evening, after the gala, he drove home in silence. Each turn of the wheel felt heavier than the last. His luxury SUV, once a symbol of achievement, now felt like a prison. He replayed their conversations in his mind, her laughter, her struggles, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about helping others. He remembered her hands, calloused from work, those small sacrifices that etched hope into her determination. As he pulled into his garage, a familiar emptiness welcomed him back home. The silence echoed louder than ever, filling the void that wealth had failed to fill. He couldn't shake off the weight of guilt pressing down on him. Lily was out there, fighting for every ounce of opportunity, while he had been wallowing in a luxurious life devoid of purpose. The next day, with determination coursing through his veins, William decided to visit Lily. He needed her to understand that he chose her over the false approval of his friends. But beyond that, he had to show her he was ready to step into her world. Pulling up to her modest apartment building, he was hit with the stark contrast of his life compared to hers. The paint was peeling, and it looked like a place weighed down by dreams deferred. As he knocked on her door, his heart raced with anticipation. What if she wasn't in? What if she was busy, overwhelmed with her responsibilities? But then the door opened, and there she stood, slightly disheveled, but looking radiant in a way that made his breath catch. "William?" she asked, surprised mingled with delight in her soft voice. "Can I come in?" he asked, not waiting for an answer. He stepped into a world that felt alive, filled with color and chaos, yet strangely comforting. Yeah, sure," she said, stepping aside. As they sat together at her cramped kitchen table, he focused on her eyes, realizing how much he missed seeing her glow.
"Lily, I want to help," he said, scrambling for the right words. "I know you've got a lot going on, but I can be part of this. You deserve more than what you have." Lily's face changed, confusion flickering across her features. "What do you mean?" "I mean, whatever your dreams are, I want to help you chase them. You don't have to battle this all on your own. We can make it happen together." For a heartbeat, hope danced in her eyes, but then doubt clouded her expression. "William, you don't understand. People don't change their stars. It's just how life works for people like me." Her voice quivered slightly, as if each word was a fight against the innate resignation she felt. He realized then that he had touched the nerve of reality for her, the belief that dreams belong only to those born into privilege. He couldn't let her give in to that lie. "Why not? You have more fire in you than anyone I know. It's not about the money. It's about the will to fight, to break free." As the air thickened with charged emotion, William watched Lily's walls begin to crumble. For the first time, they both stood on the edge of something profound, something that could redefine not just their lives, but expose the truth behind the facade of comfort and wealth. And yet, just as he thought they were moving closer, the sound of his phone buzzing on the table cut through the moment. It was a text from one of his friends, filled with mockery and disdain over his new friendship with Lily. He felt the chill of betrayal creeping back. Would he let this pull him apart from her again, or would he finally stand firm against the pressures of his past? In that moment, with everything at stake, the question weighed heavily upon them both. Would he claim his freedom, or would fear keep him locked in a gilded cage? As he prepared to respond, he felt the invisible ties that had bound him to his old life beginning to snap. Would he find the courage to sever them completely, or would he unravel at the thought of adversity? The door of transformation creaked open, but it all hinged on one decision that could change everything. Would he step through? William's thumb hovered over the screen, the biting words of his friend blurring into a haze. He could feel the tension between him and Lily, thick and charged like an unwelcome storm. The air was electric, and he struggled with the weight of the choice before him. Was he going to abandon her after promising to help, or was he going to stand firm and support her, despite what others might say? "William," Lily's voice was a gentle nudge back to reality. "Is everything all right?" He looked up, meeting her concerned gaze. I was just thinking," he started, his heart racing as he tried to find the right words. "I want you to know that what I'm feeling is real. My friends can't dictate who I care about. I care about you." Her brows furrowed, uncertainty lacing her features. "But you come from a different world, William. You have everything, and I have nothing. That gap, it's huge." "Lily," he said, voice steady with determination, "it's not about titles or wealth. It's about the heart. And I feel a connection with you that's more meaningful than anything I've ever had before. I want to learn from you, grow with you." With her gaze unwavering, she studied him like she was trying to solve a puzzle. "But if you help me chase my dreams, what does that mean for you? You've built a life of privilege. He remembered the chilling emptiness he'd felt the night before, the loneliness that returned with him from every gala and high society gathering. It was suffocating. It means I'll finally feel alive, he admitted, the truth spilling out. I want to fight beside you, to challenge the life I've lived if it means we can pursue something real together. Tears glistened in her eyes, but she quickly blinked them away, masking her vulnerability with a brave smile. You really mean that, don't you? More than anything, he replied, his own heart racing at the thought of her hope blooming before him. Just then, the phone buzzed again, a cruel reminder of the outside world waiting for him. He caught a glimpse of the message, replaying the mocking tone that echoed in his mind, but this time it didn't feel as powerful. He tucked the phone away, dismissing the noise. The only voice he wanted to hear was right in front of him. I want to show you something, Lily said, urgency threading through her words. What is it? He asked, eager to share in her world. She leapt from her chair and pulled him toward the small living room, revealing a vibrant canvas propped against the wall, splashes of colors mixed with different shades of raw emotion. I painted this yesterday, she explained, the pride in her voice evident. It's my dream. I want to create art that moves people, makes them think and feel something more. William was captivated, the colors almost pulsing with life. It's incredible, he breathed. This is what you want to do? You should be showcasing it, not hiding it away. I don't have the resources. I can't afford to pursue that dream. It's been just a thought, a wish, and life keeps pushing me back. Somewhere deep inside him, he felt that familiar fire light up again. Then let's change that. We can start right now, he suggested, excitement bubbling. A local gallery, art fairs, let's brainstorm. I can help you reach people. Lily's surprise quickly shifted to cautious optimism. But what about your friends? What will they say about you investing in an artist like me? I don't care, he said passionately. I want to put my time and energy into something that matters, something real. You matter. But even in that moment, the voice of doubt flickered in the back of his mind like a dormant ember. Could he really commit to her? Would his friends find a way to pull him back? Before he could ponder any further, Lily smiled, the kind of smile that lit up the room. Okay, let's do this together. As they plotted and planned, the air shifted around them, filled with promise and possibility. Yet the lingering question remained. How deep would William's commitment stretch when faced with the weight of his old life? Each moment bigger than the last, they moved toward what could be a new beginning. The ground beneath their feet felt unstable, but full of potential. Could they build something beautiful together, or would fear tear them apart when push came to shove? The world outside waited, and the truths yet to be faced loomed close. The journey was just beginning, and the real test of their bond was yet to come. Would they be ready for what lay ahead? The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window, casting warm stripes across the kitchen as William poured himself a cup of coffee. He felt lighter than he had in weeks, thoughts of Lily swirling through his mind like the steam rising from his mug. That moment last night, her painting, the spark in her eyes, it made him believe that maybe, just maybe, he could be part of something that mattered. His phone buzzed again, a familiar sound that usually filled him with dread. He grabbed it, half expecting more jabs from his friends, but instead it was a notification about an art fair happening downtown in 2 weeks. Without thinking, he quickly typed a message to Lily. Found something we can showcase your work at. Let's meet and plan, okay? He sent the message, anticipation igniting in his chest. For the first time, helping her felt exhilarating, and he wasn't going to let anyone hold him back. A few minutes later, a reply popped up. Are you serious? I can't believe it. His heart swelled at her excitement. Absolutely. Meet me at your place? See you soon. As he made his way to Lily's, thoughts of doubt crept in again. What if his friends found out? What if they mocked him for belonging to her world instead of his? But shaking off the uncertainty, he chose to focus on the thrill of the unknown, something he shared so little of throughout his life. When he arrived, he could see her through the window, bubbling with enthusiasm as she shuffled around her small apartment. The moment he stepped inside, he was hit by the vibrant colors of her paintings scattered throughout the room. It felt like walking into her soul, so bold yet vulnerable. William, I can't express how much this means to me. Lily's voice rang out, full of joy. She clasped her hands together, clearly trying to hold back a flood of enthusiasm. Let's make it about you, he said, smiling back at her. Tell me what we need to do. They immediately spread out her works, discussing which pieces to feature and how to present them. The conversation flowed easily, laughter filling the air as they collaborated, an unexpected harmony ringing between them. They spoke of colors, themes, and emotions. The ideas danced like fireflies in the summer dusk.
But in the midst of their joy, a message from his friend slipped into his mind, dark and nagging. You're wasting your time, man, it had said during their last call. Chasing some girl's dream won't get you anywhere. Stick to the guys. Keep climbing the social ladder. The thought made him feel uneasy. He brushed it aside, determined to believe in what he and Lily were building. As the hours passed, they paused for a moment, leaning against the wall, surrounded by the art that showcased her heart. William looked closely at one piece, a turbulent ocean painted with jagged strokes, raw and fierce. "Tell me more about this one," he urged, curious to know what drove her creation. She hesitated, then took a deep breath. "This was during a really hard time. I felt lost, like I was constantly fighting against the tide." He reached out, his hand brushing against hers. "That's beautiful. Your pain turned into something so powerful." The moment pulled them together, and for that heartbeat, they shared an unspoken understanding. But it was broken by another buzz, this time a video call from his best friend, Nathan. Without thinking, William hit ignore. He didn't want any distractions, not now. But then there was another notification. "Why ignoring us? What's going on with you?" Regret washed over him as he stared at the message, the weight of his old life pressing in again. "What's wrong?" Lily asked, observing his sudden change. He hesitated. How much could he tell her? How could he explain the fear curling within him? "It's nothing," he lied, but even to his own ears, it rang hollow. Just then, the realization hit him. His friends were never going to understand this passion, this new part of him he was discovering. Would he have the strength to fully commit, or would he always look back? As they continued planning, a flicker of doubt started to linger. He needed to decide how much of his old life he was willing to leave behind. Would he have the courage to choose this new path, with Lily at his side? The answer was slowly unfolding, but a storm of thoughts raged inside him, unsure if he could embrace it all. What if choosing her meant losing everything he had always known? The moments flickered past, eager yet dread-filled, as he weighed his heart against the pressures from the outside world. Would the weight of his life crush the dream before it even began? Lily's hand found his, grounding and urging him forward, and as he looked into her eyes, he realized he had to find out. But would they be enough to face the storms brewing on the horizon? William's mind raced as he held Lily's hand. A simple touch ignited 100 questions. The warmth of her skin beneath his sent electric feelings shooting through him, but that connection was riddled with uncertainty. He could sense the weight of his friends thinking he was making a foolish mistake, a betrayal of their shared dreams.
They had never hoped for anything more than the usual pursuit, the predictable climb up the social ladder. But here he was, standing at the edge of a vivid canvas, uncertain about how it would all unfold. "Hey, are you okay?" Lily's voice broke through his thoughts, filled with genuine concern. He looked into her eyes, soft yet shining with determination, and caught a glimpse of the fearless artist he admired. "I'm good," he said, though the words felt like a flimsy raft against the ocean of emotions washing over him. "Just thinking about what we need to prepare for the fair. Definitely, we can make a list, even create a plan for how to display everything." Her enthusiasm was infectious, pulling him out of his swirling doubts, if only momentarily. They spent the next hour brainstorming, laughter mingling with excitement as they mapped out every detail from transportation to displays. It felt different, more vibrant than William had ever experienced. It was more than art. It was a partnership, a bond forming amidst the colors and the fade of the day. But just as he allowed himself to feel buoyed by their dreams, his phone buzzed again, snapping him back to reality. It was Nathan again. "Not answering this time either? You are really ditching us, man." His stomach churned. Each notification felt like a weight, reminding him of the life he was partially letting go. He glanced at Lily, who was still immersed in her sketches, her brow furrowed in concentration. That spark in her eyes made him wonder if he wanted the life Nathan promoted. Was their bond worth this internal struggle? "Want a break?" Lily asked suddenly, her eyes flitting up to catch his. "Maybe some ice cream? I could use a treat for all this brainstorming." "Sure," he replied, forcing a smile. Ice cream sounded great, a simple indulgence he indulged in long ago. "I'll grab some." As he stepped out, the hints of evening settled in. Colors shifting across the sky mirrored the internal conflict bubbling inside him. Would he really go for it? Could he risk the friendships he had built over years for something so foreign, yet invigorating? The moment the door closed behind him, his phone buzzed again, this time with a flood of messages from the group chat. "Lame Brad thinks you're too good for cards now? We need to talk. You're slipping away." He slammed his phone against the passenger seat of his car, frustration boiling beneath the surface. The laughter he had shared just moments ago felt so far removed from this reality, one he never truly fit into. Pulling himself together, he drove to the ice cream shop, the route familiar yet suddenly daunting. The sweet, nostalgic smell of cones and sugary treats greeted him, offering a reminder of simpler days when life felt less complicated. He ordered 2 scoops, chocolate mint for him and cookie dough for her favorite. As he returned, ice cream in hand, the sight of Lily brought a rush of warmth.
She was excitedly organizing art supplies, her fingers dancing over brushes and palettes. "Perfect timing," she exclaimed, beaming as he walked in. She took her cone with a grin, that smile rekindling whatever doubt lingered in him. "Thanks." "Anything for the artist," he said, trying to match the energy that radiated from her. They plopped down on the floor, sharing their treats as the sun dipped below the horizon. It felt like an adventure, just them against the world. For a moment, every doubt seemed to fall away. But then, as they chatted about the fair, both their phones buzzed at the same time. Lily glanced at hers and frowned. "It's just my mom," she said, letting the phone slip from her fingers. Suddenly, William hesitated. He wanted to tell her about Nathan's messages, to share his fears, but the moment felt fragile somehow. The laughter faded as dissatisfaction crept back. Would he be transparent, or would it spiral into another awkward silence? As he looked at her, the light from the street lamp softened the edges of her face, revealing layers he wanted to explore. Could he let her in, past the surface laughter? In that lingering silence, a question hovered between them. Could love truly rise from the ashes of doubt? A sharp breath ignited a new resolve in him, but as he opened his mouth to speak, the moment snapped back into focus. "What's next for us?" he asked, knowing it wasn't just about art anymore. Around them, the night thickened, hinting at countless possibilities. Would what they were building withstand the weight of both their pasts? As he gazed into her hopeful eyes, the uncertainty shimmered like the stars above them, fueling a longing that left him breathless. And as Lily smiled, he realized the answer might just lie in an unexpected place. What if confronting their worlds together changed everything? The lingering uncertainties danced around them, thickening the air. William felt the weight of the question he had just posed drop like a stone between them. He could see the spark in Lily's eyes dim slightly as she leaned back, contemplating. "What do you mean by what's next?" she asked, her voice quieter now. The lightness that had filled their moment suddenly felt precarious, like a tightrope away from collapse. He took a breath, caught off guard by the shift. "I mean, this, us. I guess I just wonder where this is all heading. Are we just friends preparing for a fair, or is there something more?" The truth hung in the air, raw and exposed. Lily tilted her head, weighing his words. "You've been feeling this way?" she asked, her expression turning from confusion to something more profound. Was it hope? "I don't know," he admitted honestly, a flood of emotions surging within him. "You make me feel things I haven't felt in a long time. But everything feels so complicated," he added, a tremor in his voice. "Complicated how?" she asked. Her gaze was steady, unwavering.
Like, I don't want to hurt my friends by drifting away from them, but at the same time, I'm drawn to you. It's like I'm teetering between two worlds. He could feel his heartbeat pounding in his chest like a drum, each beat underscoring the weight of his truth. Lily's gaze softened. "You don't have to choose right now, William. I mean, it's okay to just explore what this is between us, without putting pressure on it." The sincerity in her words wrapped around him like a comforting blanket. "But what if we don't have the chance to explore it later? Then we'll figure it out as we go. I want to paint this moment with you, even if it's just for now," she said, a determined twinkle in her eyes. William swallowed hard. He felt as if she really understood him, like she could see the tangled mess in his heart, and still wanted to be there. "Okay," he said, unable to suppress a hopeful smile creeping onto his face. "Let's paint our adventure." With that, they began to draw, their conversation morphing back to ideas for the fair. Yet beneath the surface, something was changing. They leaned closer, sharing sketches and laughter, the boundary blurring between artist and muse. It felt like a dance, one that neither had fully accepted to begin. But the stillness didn't last long. Just then, another message pinged on William's phone, harsh against the softness of the moment. It was Nathan again. "Bro, we're holding a meeting this weekend. You have to be there." William's heart sank, the reminder of his other life crashing back into the sphere they had created. I should probably go. He hesitated. Lily watched him intently, concern deepening in her expression. What do you want? The question hung in the air again, more potent this time. His gut twisted with a mix of longing and anxiety. I want this, he sighed, but I also don't want to lose my friends. Then don't lose them, she said, a gentle resolve in her tone. You can be true to yourself without cutting ties. Perhaps she was right, but the boundaries between who he was and who he wanted to be felt almost insurmountable. As they finished their sketches, the streetlights flickered to life outside, casting an amber glow around them. The intimacy of the moment wrapped around him, begging him to take a step forward, but his doubts continued to pull him back. I don't want to hurt anyone, especially you, he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. I believe in us, she replied softly. And isn't that enough? The lingering warmth of her words stirred something deep within him. Maybe this connection was worth the storm brewing on the horizon, worth the risk of life tugging him in different directions. And just as he felt the grit of his resolve harden, his phone buzzed again, sending a jolt through him. He glanced at Lily, the anticipation hanging thick. Would this be the moment his worlds collided, forcing him to choose?
As he held his breath, half of him on the edge of what could be, the other half spiraling back into who he had been, William realized this was only the beginning. Would he be brave enough to truly step forward, to embrace the unknown with Lily? William, she nudged gently, her eyes fixed on him, searching. What if this leads us somewhere we didn't expect? His heart raced, hands shaking slightly. She smiled, an honest spark igniting between them. Maybe that's exactly what we need. And as the question echoed in his mind, he found himself teetering on the brink of a decision that could change everything. Would he take the plunge, or would he hold back again? The night loomed around them, charged with promise, waiting patiently for an answer. The buzzing of his phone broke through the buzzing of thoughts in William's mind. He snatched it up, his heart thudding wildly. The message from Nathan blurred together with the warm glow of the streetlights spilling through the window. He felt the world outside slip away, the laughter from the cafe patrons fading into the background as he tried to process everything. Will you be there or not? Nathan's urgency was clear. William could almost picture him pacing around, hands shoved deep into his pockets, frustration brewing on his face. He didn't just want a friend to join. He needed William to back him up. But there was something more. William sensed that if he didn't show up, Nathan would take it as a personal betrayal, as if he were abandoning their friendship. Hey, Lily's voice broke through his thoughts, pulling him back into the moment. What did it say? He hesitated, glancing at her hopeful expression. Nathan wants me there this weekend. He said it's important. Is it work-related? She didn't deserve to feel even a sliver of disappointment, but he couldn't meet her eyes. Yeah, something like that. It's a meeting. He was losing his battle. The safety of the routine he had with Nathan clashed against the unpredictable, exhilarating feeling of being with Lily. I don't know what to do. Do you want to go? The steadiness in her tone surprised him. He took a deep breath, weighing the answer on the tip of his tongue. I want to paint tonight with you, he said softly, silence stretching between them. But I don't want to let Nathan down. Lily looked out the window, where shadows danced in the glow of the streetlights, and William felt an ache in his chest. He wanted to be honest with her, yet the looming expectation of Nathan's world created an invisible barrier, a world filled with obligations and judgments, a world that seemed to fight against his growing affection for her. Perhaps you need to go, she suggested, her voice low, painting over the vulnerability with resilience. Maybe it's best to stay connected in both worlds right now, right? It doesn't have to be one or the other. But what if I miss a chance to discover more with you?
His words whispered out like a secret. What if I go and this moment, this disappears? I'm here. Her assurance was like a balm, washing over his doubts. And we have time, William. Trust that we can come back to this, whatever this is. In an unexpected moment, he realized how tightly she was holding him, without possession, without clinging too close. It was as if they were tethered together by something deeper, and the ropes connecting his two worlds could indeed withstand the strain. He felt the corners of his mouth lift. You make it sound easy, he chuckled softly, like I can just walk away from two lives without a hitch. Maybe that's the point. You don't have to walk away. Just find a way to let them coexist. She smirked, genuine, and for a heartbeat, all seemed right. Okay, he finally said, almost surprised by the decision that fell from his lips, though uncertainty lingered in his chest like a haunting melody. I'll go to the meeting, but only for a little while. Then I'm coming back to this. He gestured around them, the cozy chaos of their sketches scattered on the table, a modern portrait of what he hoped for. A look of understanding washed over Lily's face, and her smile glinted like the stars that might emerge from above. That sounds perfect. Suddenly, the weight of his phone felt lighter in his palm. The collision of his two lives was inevitable, but maybe with the right balance, he could navigate this. But then, as if to challenge his fresh resolve, a knock echoed on the cafe door, shattering their moment. The door swung open, bringing in a gust of cool air and an unfamiliar figure. With a few brief glances exchanged, William's heart sank when he recognized Nathan's face strolling into the cafe, his eyes scanning the room. "What are you doing here?" William whispered, panic rising. Lily's expression mirrored his, shock and dread swirling together in the air. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Nathan was about to burst into their intimate little world, demanding attention and bringing with him the heart-pumping responsibilities that William had been trying to escape. As Nathan approached, a mixture of excitement and anxiety coursed through William. Would he have a moment to breathe? Or was this the clash that might change everything? "William, there you are," Nathan called. But all William could think about was how this moment could possibly lead to more questions, not just for him, but for Lily too. And as the tension ramped up, a new sense of unease settled in. Would he be able to juggle both friendships, or would the weight of expectation bring every fragile connection crashing down? Nathan strode into the cafe, his presence a whirlwind that set ripples through William's otherwise quiet evening. "I didn't know you'd be here." His voice was a mix of surprise and excitement, as though he had just found a missing piece of his puzzle.
William stood, caught between the warmth of Lily's hand lingering on his knee and Nathan's brisk energy. "Yeah, just hanging out," he said, his tone lacking conviction. He wanted to retreat back into the cozy cocoon of intimate conversation with Lily, but Nathan was already pulling him into the current of his whirlwind life. Lily's expression tightened, the interest in her eyes quickly shifting to concern. She could sense the shift in atmosphere. It felt like standing on the edge of a precipice. "Hey, Nathan," she greeted, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Lily right," Nathan replied, his demeanor shifting to friendly. But William could see the flicker of competition dancing behind Nathan's usual bravado. He was always vying for attention, especially from William. "Yeah, nice to see you," she said, her politeness shrouding her discomfort. "Nate, we were just—" William began, but his friend cut him off, motioning for him to follow. "You have to come. We're meeting with a big client. It's important." Nathan's excitement crackled in the air, and William felt an invisible string tugging him along, creating a growing distance from the moment he cherished. "But I was just—" William trailed off, trying to grasp at the fragments of their previous conversation. "No time for just. This is our chance," Nathan insisted, his voice rising. The intensity in his eyes was enough to suffocate any lingering feelings of guilt. William stole a glance back at Lily, who now sat very still, her smile slipping away. There was an ache in seeing her confusion, knowing he was being pulled in two different directions. "I'll be back," he promised, but the word felt flimsy in his mouth. Nathan grasped William's shoulder, guiding him toward the exit. "Let's go," he urged, just as William was about to pull away, to argue, to stay with Lily. "Will, wait," Lily called out, her voice carrying a mix of urgency and something deeper, as though she was silently willing him to reconsider. "I'll come back," he shouted, unsure if he was trying to convince her or himself. The door swung shut behind them, and with it William felt the warmth of the cafe fade like the last light of the day. As they walked, Nathan launched into details about the meeting, his voice animated and infectious, but William's thoughts occupied a different space. Each word from Nathan stretched farther apart, lost in a void as he replayed the moments he'd left behind, the laughter they'd shared, the lightness of their art session. Still, Nathan's excitement was hard to dismiss entirely. "This could be a game changer, Will," he pressed. "If we impress this client, we could expand. Think about it." "Yeah," William replied distractedly, his heart still lingering at the cafe. Nathan's excitement faltered when he caught William's gaze wandering. "Are you even listening? You need to be in the moment here." "I am," William snapped a little too quickly. The conflict inside him felt like a tightrope walk, and he was afraid of losing his balance.
Just then, the weight of realization hit. Was Nathan unintentionally driving a wedge between him and Lily? What was this balance he was trying to strike? Was it too much to want both friendship and something deeper, something that felt like it might truly matter? As they neared the venue, Nathan's excitement reignited, while within William a storm brewed. How could he be all in for Nathan when the most important part of his evening felt left behind? Walking into the meeting felt like stepping into an arena without armor, the stress of expectations settling heavily on his shoulders. He glanced around, his heart racing as thoughts of Lily lingered at the edges of his mind. What if this meeting went well and pushed him farther and farther away from everything else? He needed to reconnect with that piece of his life, but how? A thought crept in, causing his heart to squeeze. Could he keep the world of Nathan and the world of Lily intertwined? Just as he contemplated the possibility, their client entered the room, a formidable figure with an air of authority that sent a shiver through William. This was it. This was the moment that could change everything. Little did he know this meeting would unveil more than just business opportunities. Would William discover that the choices he made today could ripple into every aspect of his life, especially his connection with Lily? The meeting room buzzed with energy, the air thick with unspoken potential. William caught snippets of conversation about projections and strategies, but his mind drifted. The client, a sharp-eyed man in a tailored suit, exuded confidence as he flipped through the presentation slides. Nathan had neatly arranged everything for this moment, and yet all William could focus on was the empty seat next to him and the memory of Lily's hopeful smile. "William, could you walk us through our creative concepts?" Nathan's voice sliced through the fog. William felt a rush of adrenaline. He stood, attempting to shake off the doubts. As he stepped to the front, his heart raced. He could feel Nathan's eyes burning into him, urging him to perform, but his thoughts kept flitting back to Lily. What was she thinking right now? Was she still at the cafe, tapping her fingers nervously? "Sure, let's dive in," he said, forcing a smile that felt more practiced than genuine. He began explaining their ideas, using hand gestures to emphasize points, but his mind was elsewhere. He wanted to do well, he wanted to impress this client, but the urge to run back to Lily grew stronger with each word. A few minutes in, he noticed the client's expression shift. It was subtle but telling, his brows furrowed as William stumbled over a point, words almost lost in his throat. There was no spark of interest in the man's eyes. William's heart sank.
It became clear that while he spoke about business, his emotions were tangled up in an unresolved reality. Nathan leaned closer, frustration flickering in his gaze, but William's focus remained on that empty chair. The weight of choice loomed large. Perhaps instead, he hesitated, catching the client's tired sigh. "There's an angle we haven't explored yet." He tried to regain momentum, but felt a wave of flush rise to his face. The presentation slipped from his grip like sand. As he concluded his portion, the client nodded, but there was no fanfare, just polite applause. William sat down, allowing himself a moment of relief mixed with disappointment. Nathan leaned over, a hard edge to his voice. "What was that? You can't check out like that. You need to be present." William clenched his jaw. "Maybe if we weren't rushing to leave the cafe," he snapped back, the words escaping before he could filter them. There was a sickening silence as murmurs coursed through the room. Nathan stared, the hurt clear in his eyes. "You think I wanted to drop you into this uncomfortable situation? It was important. Important to you," William countered, frustration boiling over. He could feel the tension mounting, the walls of the room closing in. Before Nathan could respond, the client spoke, his tone cooler than before. "Gentlemen, let's focus on the task, shall we?" William's heart sank further. He had become a distraction, a stumbling block in Nathan's ambitions. He felt the shame of his internal struggle collapse around him. The air felt thick, and he wanted nothing more than to escape. With each passing moment, the connection he craved with both Nathan and Lily felt increasingly far away. The meeting continued, but all William could think about was how one choice had set off a chain reaction, pushing him away from something genuine. Could he ever find a way to reconcile these parts of his life, or were they destined to clash? As the meeting wrapped up, he stared at his hands, unsure of where to go from here. Suddenly, Nathan's phone buzzed with a message, and before William could ask about it, Nathan's expression turned from irritation to shock. "Lily's in trouble," he whispered, eyes wide. "She needs us." A cold rush of urgency flooded through William. Just when he thought he couldn't feel any more torn, life threw him an unexpected lifeline. But would he be ready to grasp it? "There's been an accident at her job. The bakery where she works, there was a fire. She texted me just now. I didn't even know you two were close." William's heart raced. All thoughts of privilege, friendship, or societal expectations dissolved into a singular focus: Lily. "How bad is it?" he demanded, panic creeping into the edges of his voice. "I don't know," Nathan replied with a grim expression. "We need to get to the hospital, though. Now." Without hesitation, William shot up from his seat, leaving the remnants of the meeting behind him like weights that he could no longer carry. He raced toward the door, with Nathan hastily following. The weight of what was happening tugged at him, yet he felt a bright flame of determination rising within. He couldn't lose her, not when they had just begun to chase the stars together. As they sped down the street, William fumbled with his phone, wanting to text Lily but struggling to find the right words. The world flew by in a blur, a kaleidoscope of colors that felt so different from the warmth of the cafe. The thought of her struggling alone made his heart ache in ways he never knew existed. Minutes later, they blasted into the hospital parking lot, casting aside the anxiety of their previous conversation. William bolted through the entrance, his mind only on Lily, while Nathan hurried to ask for information at the desk. "William," Nathan called, waving him over. "She's in room 210. William rushed towards the room, his throat tight with anxiety. He pushed the door open. What if the sight inside was worse than he imagined? But then he saw her. There she was, lying in bed with a bandage on her arm, eyes wide and shimmering. Relief flooded through him, pushing his fears to the background. Her eyes brightened when she saw him, and a smile broke through the chaos. "William," she exclaimed, trying to sit up. "You came." "Of course I did." He hurried to her side, taking her hand in his, noting how warm her fingers were, but feeling the tension in her body. "I was so worried. Are you okay? What happened?" "The fire was small," she explained, her voice steady yet fragile. "I got burned a bit while trying to help some customers evacuate. It was so chaotic." "Why didn't you call me?" he asked softly, rubbing her hand gently. "I didn't want to disturb you. I thought you'd be busy." The shadows of her anxiety threatened to creep in again. "Lily, nothing is more important than you," he replied, his gaze intense. "I want to support you through everything. I'm here now." He squeezed her hand tighter, grounding her as he realized how deeply he felt for her through the chaos. Seconds later, Nathan entered, and there was a stillness among the three of them, as if reality was holding its breath. "Hey," he said, an awkward tension lingering in the air. "How are you doing?" "I'm okay," Lily replied softly, "just shaken."
William wanted to reassure her, to promise her safety and support, but he also felt something shift within him. His connection with Lily had deepened in that moment of panic, and he knew he couldn't keep running from his past friendships and responsibilities, but he also couldn't abandon the hope that Lily represented. "Let's get you out of here," William said, his grip on her hand steadfast. "I'll be by your side every step of the way." Her eyes met his, a beautiful spark of hope skating across her features. "Thank you. You mean so much to me." As the three of them navigated this unexpected moment together, William began to sense it all coming together. Surrounded by familiar faces in a place filled with anxiety, he could see a path stretching before him, one woven with both love and responsibility. In the aftermath of uncertainty, choices had to be made, but he was ready. The ties that bound him to his previous life could expand. He could embrace both Lily and his previous friendships, carving out a new space where both could coexist. As they left the hospital, with Lily holding his hand tight, the nagging thoughts of judgment and expectations dimmed, replaced by a determination to redefine success together. They might not know what the future held, but in that moment, all that mattered was the journey ahead, hand in hand, and not just dreaming about it, but actively creating it together. And as they stepped out into the daylight, William finally felt the heavy chains of expectation clanking away, replaced by the radiant hope of what could be. This was the moment he understood. Change didn't come from denying any part of himself, but integrating it all into something beautiful. With every choice made together, his heart led him forward, no more trapped in fear, only fueled by the possibility of loving deeply, now and always. Now, if you enjoyed this journey, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories.
Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us keep telling inspiring tales. Comment below with your feelings about the ending. What a ride, right? And for the true fans out there, don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let's spread the joy together. And as they stepped out into the daylight, William finally felt the heavy chains of expectation clanking away, replaced by the radiant hope of what could be. This was the moment he understood. Change didn't come from denying any part of himself, but integrating it all into something beautiful. With every choice made together, his heart led him forward, no more trapped in fear, only fueled by the possibility of loving deeply, now and always.